There we go. So, hi, I'm Desiree Patno. I am the CEO and president of Women Housing Real Estate Ecosystem. We're based here in Irvine, California. So we're going to have the West versus the East on the bi-coastal market here. We have Angie against Nina, and we're going to duke it out today on the International Women's Day. And you notice they're both white, which really represents the ocean, which is reminiscent of water and white, and sometimes a little blue, but they're both white and white. And then you have me representing the International Women's official color from the United Nations in yellow. And this is probably my 6th or 7th call today that we've been doing live broadcasts. And the cool thing about it is that it's really been themed around the intersectionality, the intergenerational, and bringing out a radical self. And that's one thing that the Certified Delegate Spokeswoman can definitely say, that we know our radical inner self, and we don't have to find it. We know it, we bring it. And we really can amplify it. So I'd like to first introduce and have Angie describe bring a little bit about yourself, but why you're sitting on this beautiful boat where you part-time live, and talk about yourself for a second.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all. And I just want to give kudos to all my women out there. What a special day for us all. Like, I love this group and I love being a female, because I just think we really, like you said, Desiree, we bring it. We bring not just, the muscle, we bring like the soul to it. So my name's Angie Weeks, and I'm a broker associate with Berkshire Hathaway in Newport Beach. And I love doing Airbnbs and short-term rentals. So right now, both of my Orange County properties are rented. So we are staying on a boat in San Diego and just enjoying the sunset views. So if I can help any of you guys with Airbnbs or short-term rentals, I'm just doing a series right now on Airbnb journeys. And I find it fascinating. And it's one thing, I just posted an article on LinkedIn. There's a bunch of women that are doing this right now, and it's not just for investors or people that you would perceive to be that typical investor. This is for like the single moms out there that want to get ahead, or the college students that don't want to work in a cubicle for the rest of their life and stuff like that. So I love property and getting ahead with it.
I love that little plug on the side, why you're living out there. And I think it works out well, but the idea is that you're more than just a realtor. You're a entrepreneur that looks at opportunities and is always looking. You look at your technology and what you've done, the integration into the real estate side, and look at the opportunities that if someone brings something new to you, you're always expanding. And this is what International Women's Day is really about, is the ability to capture thought and act on it. Right. And that way we're keeping resilience to go with it. Choose to challenge. You're choosing to challenge something new, something great, like at hip camps, everything else. You brought that to me and love it. So thank you. So Nina, we're on the East Coast. Come on, let's bring it.
Thank you, Desiree. And happy International Women's Day, everybody. As I was thinking about today, I was thinking about the struggle that women have gone through, right? And it's actually 100 years, August 18th, 1920, was when the 19th Amendment was passed for women's suffrage here in the United States. And look how far we've gone from where we were then and where we are now. And I'm so excited to see where we're going to be, right, 100 years from now.
Well, you think about, we couldn't even start getting a business loan until 1988. Think about it. You could not,
think about that,
as a woman, get a business loan unless a male person signed. And that male didn't have to be over 18. And that male didn't have to be related to you. So why is they signing and my signature as a business owner didn't matter? So that's why they formed the NWC, which is the advisor to President, Congress, and SBA. So one of the things I think is the most powerful thing that happened this past year was the fact that you have an audience now. We look at the racism and sexism and things that have happened in 2020. We have an audience that we could see it. So with International Women's Day this year, I think it's the most powerful time that we've ever had, because we have an audience to see how we can integrate each other and help each other, leverage each other. But most importantly, I was just talking to the lady in France this morning that runs the G certificate. And she was talking about, we started ground zero. Imagine going to a desert. Here we are in real estate, of the ecosystem right now. And we start on, how do you build up that desert with nothing there. If you were in a city, you would have to move the homes, do eminent domain or something to get a path, to create a new path for women going down that road. Well, if you're in the desert, I was like, wow, I never thought of it that way. So that even playing field of bringing parity in everything and anything we do, from, you know, access to capital to the ability to grow and nurture when we're taking care of our aging population, or taking care of our kids, or dealing, or the masses, you know, those are the abilities to say that I'm on the same playing field of the equality, go with it. And that's why International Women's Day, I believe this year, is the most powerful we ever had, because we're able to connect like-minded individuals, men or women, to help generate that cause and effect, right? Because we have to be accountable. That's why we're in D&I. And that's why we're saying that, can we be sustainable in whether it's our personal life from mental ebbs and flows, and into our sustainable or business aspects, but also how do we keep and not be derailed on natural disasters and things like that. So one of the things I found out that was really powerful today is the storytelling. So I'd like each one of you to tell me a story that's going to go to our audience that they can really relate. And I'm sitting here watching Facebook to see what's going on, that we can relate to what it means to you, and a story that's relatable to the International Women's Day. So Nina, you're on stage.
Thank you. So I was not born here in the United States. I was born in Nicaragua. So I am international. And I live in a very international city of Miami, where I would say probably about 75% of the population is international. So I can tell you that coming into the United States, it was an interesting journey, because you start from zero, right? And I remember my mother sitting me down and saying, okay, we're in a new country, and you're going to learn English, you're going to get good grades, and you're going to go to college. No pressure at 8 years old. That was a conversation that my mother had with me at 8 years old, when we had just moved to the United States. And what's crazy is I remember when we first got word that we were moving to the States, we were living in Mexico. And I remember going to my friends in elementary school and telling my friends, I'm moving to the United States. And everybody would be like, wow, I heard the streets there are made of gold. And I remember thinking as a kid, wow, the streets are made of gold. You know, you're a 7-year-old, you don't really know any better, right? And I remember getting here, and then I realized as I grew older, what they meant was it was the land of opportunity, right? And you make your own destiny. And I am so thankful, I got to tell you, that we moved here, because as a woman, especially in a Latin country like Nicaragua, my opportunities would have been so limited. I probably would have just had, you know, gotten married at a very early age and had a bunch of kids, and never had the opportunities that I've had. And thank God I've been blessed to be surrounded by amazing women, Desiree, Angie, Teresa, I can go on, and just continuing on, you know, on a journey of discovery and learning, and just growing in terms of my career and personally. So hopefully everyone can, you know, appreciate that. And you know, it's just, it's an amazing journey. So thank you for the opportunity.
You know, the idea is that your parents saw the fortitude to bring you over here. And most importantly, you had to still navigate your way when you got here. You know, you looked at the golden streets, and hey, France does have gold gates and gold everywhere. So, you know, there are cities out there that are gold. Maybe not 100% gold, but they do have gold there. But the idea is that I believe that as long as we all have an opportunity in what we do to amplify and grasp that opportunity, we have a new way to grow. I mean, look at the gold that's on your wall. You got all your light fixtures and the gold behind you in your mirrors. You love gold. Okay, I like it. And the fact of being able to have the strength and the courage to ask and continue to choose to challenge is what this whole theme is for International Women's Day today, right? And I believe no matter how successful we are, whether the wealth has to be defined by having a lot of options. And that's what we grow here at NAWRB is that if you can have, it's not just financial wealth, but the opportunity to have quality of life, access to be able to know how to navigate disruptions. Here we have, here you could be on a beautiful sunset that you have going on behind you right now, Angie, but what happens? She had a tsunami hit the back of her. How do you navigate? And I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm being real. We deal with a lot of fires here in California. Miami, you're not supposed to have a coastline in the next 10 years. You're supposed to lose half your coastline. So I'm keeping it real, is how do we navigate and continue to choose to challenge, not only in our personal life, but our professional life. And that ability now, Nina, you're much more set and understanding your available options, your insurance, your capability to provide not only for yourself, but your child and everyone else around you, that you understand how you can help them and they can help you, because keeping you grounded and going with it. So I think that's so valuable. So thank you very much for that, Nina. Angie, you.
Well, and I just want to say too, right, Nina, I feel like your mom telling you that at 8 years old is just such a good example of like what women do. We empower each other and we give each other a step up and the next step. And that's kind of what my story is I was interviewing a client of mine about a month ago about her homeownership journey. And she's a little bit older than me. And she grew up in Chicago, where, as both of you guys know, that's where a big area where redlining was huge. And she is a Black woman, and she is absolutely amazing. She's single and been single for a lot of years, and she purchased her property there and built a portfolio for herself. She came over and helping her daughter go to college, Nina. She bought a property in Long Beach, a condo for her daughter to live in. And it was, something that was an investment for her. And now she's actually helping her daughter to purchase property, and they purchased kind of something together a few years ago. So this is something that I see as just like a story of women evolving and getting just better and better. Like the next generation is doing things even better and even sooner than the other generations are. And it keeps on, it keeps on growing in a good way. And that's what I love to see about just, females in general, is we don't stop, we don't settle, and we're constantly trying to raise the bar and make sure that our kids are taken care of and make sure that that legacy is built for our families. And I recently got my At Home with Diversity designation through the National Association of Realtors, because where I'm from, there's not a ton of diversity. But it's like, I see this as like, basically like, Nina, you came here with all those great cultures and trends and things from Nicaragua that all just added to that area of Miami, and your family brought that too. And I see that expansion with all of us when we really bring what is a part of our culture and our heritage, and it's beautiful. So yeah,
I'm gonna show you how to dance salsa next time I see you, Angie. Okay.
Heck yeah.
So we're gonna start sharing cultures.
Yes,
totally. See, but this is what that is. I mean, if you think about it, is the ability to choose to challenge is that ability to help each other embrace quality of life. Dancing, Miami's known for dancing all night, partying all night, and have an open forum. I only imagine what it was like during lockdown, that, boom. And the idea is that we as a society really have to play a part into helping each other have an environment that transcends storytelling to where we don't lose our humanity of having an interconnection of where we're going back to our roots. Because the idea is that the more we are at and let me backtrack for a second. We are globally connected now around the world. But the problem is that we are not, and Angie's frozen over there. She's looking good. Shalisa is a good freeze on her. She's reconnecting. But the idea is that we, as a society, we're so glad to have you back, is that we are more siloed than we've ever been before, even though with a global connection, because our friend sphere has shrunk. Our ability to trust has not been increased. And our ability that we have to say, no, we can handle it. We love each other. We're going to go there. And that opportunity to the flip of the mind is, and I'm going to break away from that thought for a moment, is you made a comment, Angie, that said, here she is starting younger, helping her daughter invest, showing her the ropes to go. What did most people do? Like you just said, Nina, if I was still in Nicaragua, I would have probably got married and had lots of kids. Where we're delaying marriages in the United States, we're delaying having kids till we're in our 30s, yet we're investing in buying assets, whether it be in stocks or whether it be in real estate or buying whatever that commodity is. So we're flipping the narrative as women. It's my body. I'm not going to have a kid right now. I'm going to go support myself to take care of myself versus I'm going to go pop out some kids, not to be very graphic here, but it's real. And I think the story is confidence, ability to take care of ourselves, and the ability to take care of our parents, because maybe they didn't have that education. Maybe they didn't have the ability to invest or understand the investment rules and opportunities to go with it. So it's a very interesting how, Nina, you brought, I would have been here, this would have happened to me. And Angie, here you don't have kids and you're traveling. So think about that. You are both in different narrative. And yet here I am 60, I have 4 boys. My youngest is 23 and my oldest is 36, and no kids, no grandkids. So, you know, it's a proof in the very narrow, you know, data pool here we're using. But the idea is that we have to look at, if we can help each other, and we have less children being born than we do 65 and older. Imagine less kids in the United States that are 5 years or younger than we have more adults that are 65 and older right now in the United States. So we're changing our ability in living longer. So my goal is with the International Women's Day with the delegates is to speak up, speak out. We're calling Pass the Torches this month, is how do we pass the torch? So the idea is that, Angie, you did a great job of amplifying. How do we passing the legacy of interviewing these Airbnb? Airbnb should be paying you to really promote the opportunity of growing and say, I am. Think about it, I'm not kidding. But the idea is bringing that narrative that's very different. And Nina, you're doing that for Home Service in America. You're responsible for the integration of all the different vendors that work with you as a company as a whole. So having that platform to get those companies to scale up, scale bigger, and to integrate it through all your sub companies or sub tiers, we call them, you're both expanding your leveraging those relationships and best practices to continue to grow. And that's what we're here for today, is on an international scale. How do we help you in your own frame of mind, yet also how do we help your business? And it doesn't matter what your business is. And that's why we're about elevate women, bridge industries, change the world.
That's so powerful.
Right?
I love that.
Should we try? So we're going to do this live right on the air. Question is, do I trademark it? I trademark technology, human balance. I trademark know the rules of the game. Do we trademark elevate women, bridge industries, change the world?
Why not?
Why not?
All right, down, we're doing it.
Both coasts say why not?
All right, so majority rules. I'm down. I told the husband to start the process. You know, you've done 3, why not do 4? You know, we're good. Right. And I love it, because if you think about technology, human balance, we trademarked that 4 years ago. Who would ever thought? We trademarked, she is changing real estate. She stands for specialize in the housing ecosystem.
Exactly.
So, and that was 11 years ago. So, and now we trademark know the rules of the game a year and a half ago. Why? Because I don't want to ever hear, if I only knew. I mean, we could say, Angie said that if I knew Bitcoin was only $3,000 and I should have bought. You know, we all could say that. I was just on the previous podcast in blockchain of Canada. We had 8 panelists, and a lady was talking about how one of her clients had to go tell her, was 18 years old and had to go tell mom that he didn't want to go to become a doctor, and he wanted to go to medical school, and she says, "You're going to go," and he says, "Why?" He bought 750 Bitcoins
Oh my God.
for less than $200.
Oh, good boy.
That's
Amazing.
$39 million right now.
That's
Wow.
so cool.
So the idea was, and I think he paid less than 100. I can't remember the dynamics that she said. So he hired her to explain to his mother why he was not going to go to med school. He didn't need to. So, but that was a cultural thing because he had to get a degree, he had to get a schooling, and he had to be able to provide for himself. So there's a lot. So the scalability right now for women, in my opinion, is we look at anyone can now, I shouldn't say, let me rephrase that. It is the ability to become a billionaire has never been faster, whether you look at, forget Bitcoin. If you look at the cannabis industry, technology industry, startup companies, whatever you have a niche in, you can scale to become a billionaire so much quicker than has ever happened. Look at all the 20-year-olds that are billionaires now. I mean, so that being said,
Exactly.
right? So, and
So true.
if Bitcoin does really hit 300,000 or 400,000 or even 1 million, which is a whole nother world, you own 1 Bitcoin, and look at the woman who had bought $10 worth of GameStop. She sold it for $3,500 because she bought it as a birthday gift for her daughter. You know, like seriously. So those are the opportunities, I believe, International Women's Day. And, you know, I think that, you know, my story is that our nanny, we got her to get her US citizenship. We got her to come on board to bring the value. And there's things that she does with a 3rd grade education that she has taught me to just live in the moment and not always be on travel, not always do certain things. And even though, unfortunately, during the pandemic, she hasn't been with us, there are things that she would remind me every day that I would have to say, wow, I didn't look at it from your perspective. And those are things that I believe that no matter what economic footprint you're at, no matter where you come from, that if we can share best in class of just the simplest things in life to enjoy and appreciate, we as a society will be better of our quality of life to go with it. All right, so Angie, you're next on the platter. I'm going to go backward. This is a duel between the East and the West Coast. So next story.
Oh gosh. What are we storying about?
What are you storying about? This is International Women's Day. So if you were to look at the places you've traveled around the world 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what does it look like for you? And you're like, wow, this is so different that I only wish, you know, that it keeps you up at night. You know, what is that impact of where you've been that you're wondering what it's like there now?
Well, and like honestly, there's a couple of places, but one of the worst ones was just south of the border in Mexico. I did a Saddleback Church, like a little 1-day volunteer to go and talk to people that were living, and their quality of life was terrible. They were living all along down a stream and in tents, and they had, you know, ovens connected to propane tanks, and one invited us into their little makeshift tent, which is like an REI tent that has a stove connected to propane in it, and it just reeked of propane and stuff like that. So there's so many things that we still need to address in this world. Like, I know that we're getting better with all of that, but I still, you know, that I just want to encourage everybody out there today. Like, if you are, you know, rich enough to have an iPhone and have Clubhouse and all of that stuff, to, you know, think about giving someone else a hand up out there and really paying attention, that awareness, like you're talking about in, you know, just in general in our world with everything last year, and pandemics and racism, like we're coming to this new level of awareness where we can all help each other. And I just want to continue to say, go after those people. Like, forget the don't forget the lost and forgotten out there. And that's part of what being a woman is like that nurturing spirit and going out and finding people out there. So yeah, whether it's helping somebody in Tijuana, or whether you find somebody on YouTube that needs help or something like that, like reach out for National Women's Day and just do what we do best and nurture somebody, help them along in life. That's my story. Sticking
That's a
to
hard
it.
act to follow, Angie.
I love that, Angie.
Nina, you're gonna have
Drop the mic. All right, that's it. We're done.
I forgot my train of thought, but Angie, it's really about the ideas is that if you think about the disparity between wealth, between the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, getting lost in the shuffle because they're not having access and they have to spend so much time in trying to, figure out one thing to the other, and the logistics of that time. And hopefully during the course of the pandemic, we've seen the isms, the sexism, the racism, there's all the isms that go with it that we can address, and most importantly, that the big companies, the individuals would choose to challenge. Chitra brought this up. Choose a challenge should be made personal, not just from a big movement. If we all do it, make it personal to us, that storytelling legacy then continues to grow up into the big businesses, because the big businesses are very quickly being called out because their culture is not on the right page. They're having billions of dollars in their bank account, and they're not spending it to give back to the community that they're infiltrated to rely on to take care of themselves. And case in point, in Placer County, which is in Tahoe, over 50% of the homes, actually 60% of the homes are vacant, yet they have no workforce to clean up and help things out because they live in Reno or somewhere else. So when you don't have any affordable housing to have someone come in and help take care of your home, how are you supposed to balance that? And that's where we have to educate and bring in and say, you need affordable housing, but why not make them be successful to help spread the wealth instead of just being diverse in the wealth? So Nina, you're up. What do you got?
I agree.
Well, talking about affordable housing, Miami is a top luxury market, and there is no affordable housing. If you look at the statistics, most millennials in a city like Miami can't afford to buy a condo or even a home. So they're living with their parents longer, they're renting longer. And I think that we do need to take some steps in order to make that more accessible to minorities, and really diversify the housing opportunities. And I don't think enough is being done. I know that we have a partnership with Freddie Mac, and we're exploring, how to create programs for those in need, right? For first-time home buyers, for single moms, single women with children. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And we're creating now some webinar series through our Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Network, where we're going to be educating our agents about those first-time home buyer opportunities, so that they can then get the message out to their clients, right? About different loans that are out there that most people probably don't even know that are available to them, right? I'm very passionate about that. And that's something that I continue to look for partners. I continue to look for people that are willing to help when it comes to getting more people that cannot afford a home into a home, right? And I especially think that single women or single moms have a lot of difficulty with that. I know that from my own perspective, my mom had a difficult time buying a home for a long time, right? So as a kid, we were renting, right? And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I got into real estate, because I wanted to help others be able to live in a home and buy a home and, you know, enjoy not having to move so much, right? I moved so much as a kid because my mother just couldn't afford to buy a home. So I think that's definitely something that that we should definitely support more, and I'm definitely pursuing that as through the partnership program.
I think it's great, and I think there's some amplification there. Is that Freddie Mac's a great organization, part of NAWRB, and they have some great pilot programs. They're very forward thinking. So the issue is that it's not, in my opinion, it's not just about the affordable housing. Is that they have to look at, you talk about financial literacy and how to save and market, which is what you do, and I do too, and you're vow to save. But it's the sustainability of the money and how the system works. Because you can give someone a loan, you can get, you know, that's why people who win the lottery, you know, the odds of them keeping the money in the first year is less than 5%. It's gone through the system. That's why they have it take it over a lot of 20 years. And then you can now borrow against the future, whatever, it's a whole other story. But the idea is that if we could, as a society, realize that if you understand how banks work and how they make their profit margins, and understand how, you know, that these little things that you're doing add up, which is what I know you, Angie, have a passion about, but also how that you can leverage the intersection of access to capital for all the storms that you have. You know, $40,000 as a renter, you can get at less than 2% interest rate. How you can get as a homeowner, you get $200,000. Those are issues that we have disruptors. You know, you talk about, you know, as millennials, well, they might be at school while they're living in and not having affordable housing. You know, they're converting libraries here in Whittier in California into student housing at $560 a month, which is very reasonable in downtown city of Whittier to go to college. But those ideas of repurposing property, those ideas of being to help the younger generation to understand where they can get access to loans, but also how the people who are helping take care of them or support them, how they're financial. So it's not just about themselves, it's about the sphere of influence of people who help support them. And that brings me to the next question for you, Nina. You know, now that, you know, you've had a huge migration of New York to Miami, because everyone says, I'm out of New York since March and I'm going to go live in Miami. Your real estate prices have gone through the roof. You know, New York is begging, borrowing everyone to come back to the town. You know, they're offering 2.5 months of free rent to go back to New York.
Really?
You guys, your prices are just vertically going up because supply and demand, you know, very limited new home. And yet you're trying to say, well, yeah, I want you to build affordable housing at half price, but the going market is across the street. And they're like, yeah, right. And Miami's going, yeah, I'm going to support you. So that being said, how are you keeping the mental ebbs and flows of Miami, being what you know, coming from Nicaragua to the United States? How has that changed from when you came over to now, and the peer pressure and the you know, with suicide rate at the 18 to 24, the highest it's ever been in the United States? You know, just that angst of what do I do and how do I do it as a parent that goes with it?
Well, I think that from when I first moved here in 1989 till today, the city has grown tremendously. And I feel like it's just, in terms of age for a city, it's still a very young city. It didn't really start growing until the 80s, 90s. Before that, it was really a retirement community. So it's exciting to see that as a you know, person that grew up here. It's also interesting to see so many different people coming in from so many different parts of the world. Exactly. I'd say that Miami has now become the 6th borough of New York because
Understatement. When you got around completely glass and you got women dancing, I'm not going to go.
Oh my God, it's incredible. I live in the Brickell area, and I go to the retail section sometimes on the weekends, and all I hear is New York accents. And you know what?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great for our economy. It's the restaurants have, you know, improved, thankfully, for that. So I'm not complaining, but it definitely adds certain pressure to the locals, because New Yorkers come with a certain amount of income, right? That they have available to them, whereas the locals don't necessarily, they can't afford certain things, right? Especially when it comes to housing. So it's an interesting situation. I think it's something that has to be addressed by local government when it comes to affordable housing credits, and also credits to developers. The same thing with the national government. I think that they do need to support developers that are willing to create condos or projects with some affordable housing aspects to it. I don't see enough of it in South Florida, frankly. And hopefully with the new administration, things will change, since it seems like diversity is their middle name. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to take some time to, we've had that pendulum swing so, you know, back and forth. And I, you know, if you reward, you know, I've always had a gameplay that, you know, we heard about the Amazon getting credit in New York, saying we'll give you $3 billion of tax credit. You know, I'm going to give you X to get a big business to come into that state. If we were to reward small businesses to spring up in Miami and some of the bigger hotspots are going, and anywhere in the United States, I believe, because they're the engine of the United States, if we were to reward them as small businesses to forgive taxes or certain things like that to scale, then I believe that your gap between the disposable income between the New Yorkers and Miami that are residents or have been there for a long time, they're going to be able to have some access to go with that, because here, if you have disposable income, you get free banking, you get free access to all the, I'll buy you, I'll take you, I'll gift you, and you can start your business here.
But I'll lend you,
right? I'm sorry?
Or I'll lend you.
Right.
Or you know, that's like
huge.
That's how you get more money.
So on the flip side, that's why I tell everyone, triple P loan, EIDL loan, I don't care if you need it or not, you take it. It is free money. It is free money, people. And that's where, you know, the CPAs for the big companies were filing it because they meet the criteria, and they said, we'll do it. So that, I believe the right way to help companies is that to literally talk together. Sorry, I don't have my phone off. Is that we have to, as a society, not just think about financial literacy or the ability to how to save for home. You know, we were having this big, huge debate 2 nights ago on whether, if it's a $400 disruption, if the average person in the United States cannot handle a $400 disruption in their monthly payment because of some catastrophe, then how should they have the opportunity to invest in your company? That's wrong. And the debate became, well, you should never let them go into a angel fund investor because they're not a credit investor. They didn't do this. And so some of them are saying that if they don't have $400 because they can't handle a disruption, and you're saying, well, but what happens if they scale it, made it really wealthy, and you became very successful, and you didn't let them have the opportunity to get in there to grow in that wealth? Then you're also ostracizing on themselves. So you can tell them, no, don't do it. You know, I advise you not to do it, but if you want to give me $5, no, don't do it. But think about if that $5 could become, because they're family, you would give them a different scalable size to come into the company. And so those are things that we have to look at, that I believe that, Nina, it's not just how much credits are we get, what are we gonna do with it? Give them a workforce, give them an opportunity to have a workforce to be involved, give them a housing to go with it. And then also give them an opportunity to say that you can scale and take some of that money aside, like credits for insurance, but maybe credits to say, if you save an extra $5, I'll let you invest in something, is an opportunity if you'd like to. It's a risk, but we had to take a risk. You go to a new country, you don't speak the language, that's a risk. it's not a guarantee that you're going to absorb it. So I think we have to think bigger on how we help the affordable housing.
I agree, Desiree. I think we need to give them, like Nina was saying, awareness is so huge, because what happens is people are so busy working, trying to make the next day's lunch, trying to make the next, bill, that they don't have time to look into these programs that are out there for them. And it's like almost like we need advocates that are going out and reaching out in the community. And that's what I see myself as a real estate agent, is to help to bring about that awareness to the people that are too busy but really deserve it, and give them not only the opportunity and the awareness, but a voice in the community as well, so that we can maybe find out a little bit more about how we could get the word out to the masses and what they need when it comes to housing. Because like you said, two different footprints and two different lifestyles, so they all need something a little bit different. And I love what you said, Desiree, about how the just a repurposing of housing. I was actually on a really neat webinar recently about churches repurposing their very fun church properties. And I was like, what a brilliant idea. That's great, because you've got your volunteers on site, you've got people, like that are helping out, a further cause, and you're also providing affordable housing in these areas that are so dense that you just can't find any housing. So lots of good stuff out there, but we need to keep on going.
Well, I think that's where I think, Nina, you can make a huge, and thank you for that. The churches, I know Robert Fergoso had one in Dallas that he converted many years ago. It's not a new thing, but we just don't see it enough. And I know we just lost Angie. Thankfully, she got to finish her story. But Nina, as far as, I think is the hodgepodge of Miami has taken a huge foothold and place of destination, not just for party, but to live and to really embrace. Is I really think that, we were working on some opportunities before you joined Home Services of America on how you bring the infrastructure from your government, your compliance, your developers, your investors, your ability to repurpose. And you get some bigger than just affordable housing, because we've heard it just pounded into us for 20, 30 years. And just like D&I, we've heard it pounded into our mind. I believe that our time is now, but we have to open up the ecosystem to say, you know what, so and 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 so, and bring them all to the table. I remember the story about Bal Harbor, where they had the lawsuit that went on for I think 9 years, and the gentleman who became a mayor a couple of years ago came in there, and the first thing he did was he sat everyone around the round table, every lawyer, every developer, and everything who wanted to see about this change, and stop the lawsuit. And within 6 months, they had everything agreed, signed, and what was going to be done. But it was going on for like 6-8 years. So the idea is not only did they improve, it's the most expensive retail space in the entire United States. And the idea is that they were able to come together and make it work because he brought everyone to the table. And I believe affordable housing's element is that they're not bringing everyone to the table. It's up to the developer, it's up to the county, and it's up to the someone giving them credits. You've
Absolutely.
got to expand.
Absolutely. I
It's up
couldn't
to
agree more.
everyone.
And imagine if we took the most innovative minds in this country and put them all in a room and talked about affordable housing, but also talked about, like you said, Desiree, workforce and showing them how to do financing, right? And Angie, repurposing, right? And just educating them, right? I mean, think about it, and even environmental, right? Let's talk about that as well, because if we're talking about housing, I think that moving forward, we also have to address the environment, right? And how housing needs to become more sustainable as the environment changes and, the earth warms, and, we have to think about those things as well. But imagine if we were to take the most innovative minds and put them all together in a room, what we could come up with when it came to housing, right? And housing needs in this country.
I don't think you need to take the most innovative minds. I think you have to take the people who have the right purpose of the visionary strategist. That's why I've declared in the last couple of years as a vision strategist, you have to look at the social impact and how you bring all the variables together at the table. that are particular to your community, because what you do in Miami is going to be very different than what they might do in Barstow, let's say, or in Las Vegas. You know, that infrastructure, or in New York. You know, how do you repurpose and rezone and retool the dynamics, because you are a young city, you are not New York, and that integration has to be very particular to your neighborhood. But those who have experience and understand what the missing link is going to grow with it. So we've gone over a limit. I've gone over 1 minute over, but the idea is that, so do we have a vote? Do we say the East Coast beat the West Coast beat the East Coast? I think it's a draw. I think is that both of you brought not only the white outfits, the coastal on the beach outfits. You have the beautiful sunset that's still going on, Angie, who has all the technology issues because the fact you're out in the middle.
Oh, I know, right? I was gonna say, I think the East Coast wins by West Coast forfeiture. like disappearing. I'm going in and out like the waves over here.
Sorry, there's over there. I hate to tell you, but the water is as still as ice over there. I can see that.
Seriously, it looks fake almost. It's like a fake background. It's so perfect.
I think you lost that bet, Angie. No. But I remember the day when Nina would be sending me these pictures, and she'd be on this beautiful 150-foot yacht sitting there drinking her martini, whether it be Ferrari or some, you know, major clientele in the insurance industry, what she was doing. I'm like, yeah, girl, like you're really kicking it down there, like, you know, so.
Right.
So I think we're all good, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. International Women's Day is really about making it every day. And we could see how this is what I call the opportunity for everyone to sit into our meetings to understand how we grow and evolve and how we can leverage. I mean, think of all what we've learned between the three of us of that impact and how we can leverage and help each other. And that's the whole mission and core of what we're doing today is that we have the audience now. How do we amplify that? How do we grow that? Because the same issues here in the United States, when I spoke along the 72nd United Nations back, was it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or 76, like with, yeah, whatever. The idea is that the same issues that are happening in the United States are happening around the world. And it's just a matter of the different levels and different environments. But we need to connect to help more women, to elevate the women, bridge industries, and change the world. And that being said, thank you all. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll see you on Thursday when we talk about Pass the Torch with the NAWRB Certified Delegate Spokeswomen. So have a great evening and see you on Thursday. Take care.
Take care, ladies. This was great.